All right, YouTube, I'm going to try to make a brief video for those interested in my G.I. Joe collection. I'll be sending this to you, a record of what I've got. Just a quick lowdown. I'm going to ask different prices for different types of figures. This guy isn't for sale, but I have him out here because he's a super basic G.I. Joe figure during their, what do they call those? Revivals. So I know G.I. Joe was big in the 60s. Then in the 70s with the Adventure Team, then they took a hiatus. In the 80s, we had the small 3 3/4 inch figures with the cartoon. And then in the late 90s through early 2000s, so from around 96 to, well, mid-90s to about 2004, we had a resurgence of the 12-inch figures. This was a really basic one, non-articulated fingers. I bring that up because what they call the super deluxe, you had articulated fingers. You also had this abdominal crunch, which this figure does not have. And then there are a handful of figures that actually have the vice grip. This is the, what do they call him? Force Recon Marine CQB. So that's the only figure that I know of that has the vice grip. I bring that up because you're going to have varying price points based on which figure it is, which grip. And this figure went for $14.99 at retail on a blister card, so he didn't even have a box. He had a card back with a bubble plastic over top of him. You can still see him on eBay. Really, $14.99 is what they went for. I'm not going to ask a ton for these guys, but the ones like this, yeah, they went for closer to 30 bucks. And on eBay, they're going for way more than that. So I'm going to ask more for figures that have the super articulated figure. 21st Century Toys, they were in competition with G.I. Joe at the time. They had the Ultimate Soldier. They were a little bit taller. These guys, they call it a Super Soldier. The one with the abdominal crunch, the more articulation. However, very few of them had the articulated fingers. So here, this is Hasbro, super articulated. This is Ultimate Soldier, made by 21st Century Toys. This is their equivalent. Here's another. What I'm trying to do is to get the best possible value, both for myself and also the buyer. I'm trying to get all the figures together with their original gear. So this was a police officer. This is not that flashlight, but this is a lot of the gear he came with. He came with black socks, dress shoes. He came with a shotgun that had a functional action, a pump shotgun. I need to find that. That was probably one of the biggest highlights about him, aside from the fact that he's super articulated. And just to give you an idea of what these figures look geared up, this is a G.I. Joe Hasbro action figure, although I've put him in a uniform of a 21st Century Toys action figure. So there's a little bit difference in height, but there are real differences in height in real people, in real men. Anyway, the clothes, they're for the most part interchangeable. 21st Century Toys, Hasbro G.I. Joe, Hasbro G.I. Joe. And that's all I'm going to try to get in this video, trying to keep this brief. Check back with my next video. I'm going to go over my historical figures and maybe some weapons.